The worst storms don't come from the weather. They come from within. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. We're looking at Jonah chapter 1 verses 1 through 17, and this is the story of the storm that sent Jonah overboard. Now we've all heard the story of Jonah and the whale or the fish, however you want to say it, but have you ever thought about the storm? This is the story of the storm that tried to end Jonah, that tried to keep God's message from getting out. So let's jump right into it. Verse 1. Ahab, king of Israel, was plowing his field. So Ahab is in the field. He's a farmer. He's doing what farmers do. What does he see? And he saw a great city. In other words, God shows up on the scene and says, "Get up, go to this city and preach to them." But verse 3, Jonah began to flee from God. Okay, so he's running away from God. Why? Because God said, preach to this city. It's not necessarily the greatest assignment, but it's an assignment nonetheless. And he didn't want to go there. So he flees. Where does he flee to? Well, up until this point, the Lord has been very kind. But now the Lord sends a storm. Verse 4. Then the Lord hurled a great wind onto the sea, and there was a great storm on the sea, so much so that the ship threatened to break up. Okay, things are getting bad. Things are getting real. This is a life or death situation. Verse 5. He said to his sailors, "Take me up and throw me into the sea. That will keep the sea calm, and I will live." So this is interesting. Up until this point, Jonah has run from God. Now he's telling these sailors who are probably wondering what in the world is going on. He says, "Kill me and throw me into the sea." That's not an easy thing to ask. Now, the sailors are like any of us. They're reasonable people. They don't just do what he says. They want to figure out what's going on. So they do what every good sailor would do. They cast lots. They find out that Jonah is guilty. Now they're mad. Verse 12. Then they said to one another, "We do not see any land anywhere, but the sea is getting rough around us." They were afraid and said, "What should we do with this man? For his sake, the sea is getting rough and we are perishing." Okay, so they're scared. They're like, how did we get here? What do we do? But Jonah gives them an answer. Verse 13, he said to them, "Hurl me into the sea, and the city will be saved." Okay, still running from God, still trying to, not listen to God, but God is working in this situation. Look at verse 14. But they kept rowing and did not heed him. But the sea grew more and more tempestuous, and they were in great peril. Finally, they decide, you know what? We'll throw this guy overboard. Verse 15. About noon, when the sun was blazing on the sky, he said to them, "I am your servant. Hurl me into the sea, and I will make the sea calm for you, for I am an Israelite." Okay, they finally throw him overboard. Verse 16. Then those men feared greatly, and each one cried out to his God, for the sea was becoming rougher, and the ship threatened to break up. But look at verse 17. And Jonah had gone down into the depths, and behold, a great fish swallowed him. Now the fish kept him alive in its belly for 3 days and nights. Okay, sometimes God allows things to get really bad before he steps in. Sometimes the circumstances in our lives get really crazy before God shows up and shows off his power. But if you notice, even in this story, while Jonah is disobedient, while Jonah is running from God, God is still working in his life. God is still trying to get him to the place where he's supposed to be. Even in the midst of the storm, God has a plan for mercy. Hey, I hope this encourages you today. Know that whatever you're going through, no matter how bad it gets, God still has a plan for you. God still has a purpose for you. And if you trust in him, he will never leave you or forsake you.